Hi guys, and welcome back to the Afro Boss Lady Show. This is your host Jenny, and today I have my dear friend Juliet. She was already on here talking about her businesses and the hardship of really being an entrepreneur. So today we're gonna switch it up a little bit. It's not gonna be all business. We're gonna be talking about different challenges that we encountered coming to the US at a really young age and having to go through a new environment, new culture, new everything. Going to talk about our personal experiences, our personal life, different challenges that we encountered, and how we have made it to be here where we are and becoming boss ladies that we are. So let's welcome Juliet.
Hi guys, thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
So today I think we had a conversation couple weeks ago, and we're talking about our personal journey.
It's
how
crazy.
To the US, yes, and it's crazy how we almost have similar lives. I feel like she's like my twin sister or something. So let's get started. I want to touch base on what age did you come to the US, and how was the process for you to even get enrolled in school?
Okay, so I moved to the US at 19. Moving to the US on its own was not that difficult. I wasn't supposed to come to the US. I was supposed to go to the UK, which is why I started
Me too.
Yeah, so
I was supposed to go. I mean, the option of coming to the US for me was last minute. And then the UK option did not respond as fast, and the US responded. That's how I got here.
This is how mine happened. I was supposed to go to the UK. In fact, I had already gone. I had registered for A-levels. Class was going to start in about a month or so, because class started in September. So around first week of August, I went for Carnival. After that, back then, cell phones were not what it was now. So I was using my dad's cell phone. And I was with friends. And a guy that had tried to talk to my friend, she had called him on my dad's number. So he called back. He called back, and my dad was like, who are you looking for? So I was like, oh hell no, you're not going.
You're not going to the UK.
Like, you haven't even moved here. You're already finding little boyfriends. I'm like, So I went back to Nigeria, took the SATs, applied, went through the process. So that was another year plus. And then I moved to the US in 2005 just because a boy called my dad's phone.
Wow. So your dad was like, oh, no, definitely not going to the UK.
Who is this? You have never entered. You're already looking for
you
So guys, that's how I came to America.
Oh my god, that is so funny. My story is a bit different. I don't want to say I gave my dad an ultimatum that if I don't come here, I'm going to become a useless daughter. I'm not going to go to school, and I'm going to, get pregnant and all of these things. And my dad is super, go to school. So yeah, I blackmailed him. Basically, I blackmailed my dad, but I still remember my dad he did not want me to come, because I was the last, I'm the first girl in my family, but I was the last one to leave home, the last girl to leave the house, so he had a hard time.
I was the first daughter, first child, and you want to already be useless. The other ones behind you, they will be useless too. So when I came here, it was really a culture shock. Yes, it was a culture shock for me, and having to adjust. Okay, so I grew up in Nigeria and partially Europe, and it's a completely different world from America. So you get here, and when you get here, unfortunately, you become very aware how black you are.
Yeah.
When you move here.
Yeah.
You become aware of how African you are when you move here. And you become aware of how, like, if you are going with the African education system, how behind you are.
You are.
I knew how to.
That's true.
I thought I was really good with a laptop when I got here.
I was not. For me, I was aware that I was not because I wasn't.
In Nigeria, I was a star, like with my, you know, doing that. And you come to class and you see people taking notes. I was like,
I remember I used to study like two figures.
At home, it's like I was so much. I thought I was faster.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause I went to a private school and they taught us how to use laptops like the right way and all of that, but we were slow. So I was like, I got this.
And then on cue,
my sister, I'm like, yeah. And these people demons. What is this?
That's so fast.
Like people taking notes in class on their laptop, and I'm there with my paper and paper and pen.
Because you get that as fast as you can write. It's so funny.
You become so aware of how behind you are. Like even something as basic as math. So the learning curve was there. The cultural learning curve is there.
Culture shock.
It's and you know you don't have your family, so I don't have family here. Well, I have family, but the family I have here, the first time I saw them was the first time they saw me.
Yeah.
So it's literally like meeting strangers. And they're like, hey, this is your uncle. This is your. And you're like strangers that I'm related to.
Yeah.
Great. But I'm grateful for my cousins. They're you know, we became friends. It was great, but it was still that's the other culture shock. You're giving your home, how your family unit operates into someone else's family unit.
And I'm always I always talk about this because it's funny because so many people had asked me if it was easy, you know, like leaving from Cameroon coming to the US and how. Like they have this idea that as soon as you get here, life is so much fun. Everything is good, and it wasn't. It wasn't. I went into a really depressive state where, just like you, I didn't have any family here. I had a girlfriend that I think she came a couple weeks before I moved, but she had brothers here, but I felt so alone. Yeah. And the challenges, and I mean, you spoke English when you came here.
Yeah, and you didn't.
Yeah, I did not. So my own journey, it was just tough. It was really tough. And I went to Minnesota. Minnesota is really cold.
It's
really cold.
Cold.
And I came January, I want to say January 16 or 17. So right there.
January. I came in January as well.
See?
I came January 8th.
with that similar. So it was really cold. That's like the peak of the winter. It's just cold. So you having to deal with weather shock, then culture shock, then language family barrier, shock. Then no family.
And let's not even talk about the food. The food shock too.
Okay.
All of a sudden,
these pictures. It's so funny because you see like the commercials, and then they show you a burger. You like, oh my god, it looks so good. Nah.
And you get there and it looks like something they just flunked together.
So even your taste bud had to adjust because I think it actually adjusted over time.
Same. I mean, the mind really adjusts because this is Houston. Houston is basically Nigeria, Africa, Central.
Yeah.
But it was.
For me, I feel like after, because in the beginning I had a hard time because I used to be. When I just moved, I was staying on campus. So when I was staying on campus, I had
you had to eat campus food.
Exactly.
Same.
So. So my parents had paid for the restaurant.
The restaurant on the card.
Yes, and you have to eat the food. And it was crazy because nothing was... I always used to add like more salt, more black pepper, so that it tastes like something.
The saving grace for me is like I had a jar of dried pepper. You know the one we had it.
The dried pepper.
I had a jar of that. I had the liquid Maggi.
I did not even think of coming with this day.
No, I brought it because the first time we went to the UK, to London, the food was tasteless to me. So that, no, you're not going to this. It was like, Mommy, I need crayfish, I need dry pepper, I need liquid Maggi. I just packed those things, and I had to eat like the cafeteria food too. And they thought I was weird when I would add my pepper, even like to everything, because it was difficult.
But then it's hard because, I mean, unfortunately, African people, we have really tasty food, and it's just good, you know. You can't really compare.
It's really
so. How was your experience? Because I know you encountered so many challenges,
so many hurdles.
Yes. So can you start from? Of course, you go into school,
right?
And everything looks like it's perfect. I mean, almost perfect, but everything is still bearable. And then what happened?
So, before I answer that, I also want to highlight, like, those that are coming to school.
Yeah.
How you have to talk to an advisor.
Oh, yeah.
You talk to an advisor, and you know how African parents are like, my daughter will be a doctor. My son will be a lawyer. And you're thinking, so my parents wanted me to be an accountant. Sidebar, I am not an accountant.
No.
But, you know, so you grow up with that expectation. And in Africa, that's kind of like the way it's done. You have these parental expectations. You do your best to fit into it. And you come here. Remember, we already talked about the shock, the school, like the whole education system, everything. And then you have to talk to an advisor, and you're like, oh, I want to be an accountant. And they're like, do you have this prerequisite? Are you good in this? Are you good in that? And you're like, no. So I actually failed my first year because I was trying to stick to that mold of being an accountant and everything, and it wasn't working, and I was depressed, and everything was, you know, I started missing home. I just thought like I've messed up my life, because back home, if you fail, it's like you're no lodo, you don't have sense, you're a waste, and your parents are paying dollars, and you know the exchange rate, and you're like,
wow,
what have I done? Like, so all of that, dealing with all of that, and my very first birthday in the United States, I was sexually assaulted by a complete stranger that thought he looked at me and he thought, like, this person looks rich, because you know how Africans, we carry ourselves, we like to dress well, we like to, you know, all of that. So it was very traumatic. And
that's like the first year.
My very first year.
Wow.
So dealing with everything I had been dealing with in adjusting, and then this, and it's, you know, I'm 19, and you're just like, my life is over. You're confused. You don't have your family here. You don't have any sorts of like support. And I am grateful that I'm one of the few people that have been sexually assaulted that got justice in the court of law. So he was found, he was arrested, and he's serving time right now. But all of that, plus, remember, the last semester I just failed. I'm here by myself.
Wow.
I'm getting to know the family that's here, trying to make friends, because you know how we make friends in Africa is different from here. It's more cliquish here and all of that stuff. Just adjusting, and then this happened. And I'm not going to lie to you guys, I just thought like, well, so this is how my life ends. this is it. And you know, you're dealing with that, and you know, as an African woman, you know, they tell you have to save yourself from your husband, and you're thinking, I didn't plan this. This happened to me. Am I going to get married? Am I going to do this? And you're all of this, and you're going through that by yourself. Of course, I had to.
Did you share with your mom?
Yeah, my parents knew. I was a daddy's girl. My dad's passed away, but as soon as he was able, he came, because it was really bad, guys. Like, I had broken ribs.
Wow.
I had scars. I was in the hospital for a while. And my dad, as soon as he was able, he came. He was in the hospital. He came 2 days before I was discharged. He came to the hospital. He, as much as he could, go with me to the police report. And I have to give him kudos for that, as an African man, to actually hear the details of what your daughter has gone through in a sexual assault situation. And he was like, "My daughter, do you want to come home?"
Can you imagine?
Yeah, like I just felt at that moment, I was like, "Yes, I want to come home," but I don't know what it was. It was just something in my mind that's like, if you go home, you're a quitter. Because regardless of what's going on, in terms of self-development, as of then, it's better now, but back then, I'm talking like 14 years ago, to be a woman of substance, it's easier for you to do it in the West than in Africa.
Yeah.
So something was like, if you go home,
I agree.
If you go home, you're quitting on yourself. You have been given an opportunity to be in this country, to learn, to like network, to develop yourself. And this does not define you. So I told my dad, no. He was like, if you don't want to, because again, guys, remember, I had failed. I'm saying this multiple times because on purpose, so you understand where my parents' mindset was. So like, we'll open your stuff for you. You will stay in the house. You won't go anywhere. Because, like, as parents, they want to protect you.
They want to protect you.
So like,
and I think even if I had gone through what you've gone, I think my dad
would say the same.
Would have said the same thing.
Yeah, but I don't know what it was. At that young age, there was just something that I knew it couldn't be me. Because I didn't think like that at that time. It was just like, if you go home, you're quitting on yourself. Regardless of what's going on here, you have more opportunities to grow as an African woman than you would back home. I'm not going to lie, the road to recovery was hard. It was court mandated group counseling. It was doing the work. It was actively like affirming myself in the mirror, like I'm not what I went through. I'm grateful I had my parents, my family, they tried to be as supportive as they can. But they handled it the way African parents do. Yeah. Oh, just forget about it.
Oh my God.
Forget about it. Put it behind you. Just pray. God will heal your memory. And that's funny because I'm a religious person. I'm a Christian. And that is true. But just because you're a Christian doesn't mean that you don't have to do the work.
But the funny thing is that I think in our African culture, we don't talk about counseling. We don't talk about depression.
Oh no, we don't.
We don't talk about anxiety.
How would you talk about that when you can go to church to pray?
And pray.
You don't have enough Holy Ghost in you. That's why.
And then from somebody that had gone through what you've gone, it's really, you need like that constant work, inner work that you needed a reminder that you were not what happened to you.
And honestly, I had to be my own advocate. And when you're moving to a different country, especially coming from Africa as a woman, you have to be your own advocate. I didn't know that at that time, but with everything that was going on, I had to be my own advocate. It's not like my family didn't love me or my friends didn't love me or all of that stuff, but you know what you need.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to push past your feelings to advocate for yourself. And that has been the running theme as a woman like a black woman in America. I have to advocate for myself. And that's different from what we're taught in Africa as women, where, you just find one man and stand behind him. He's the head of the household. He will fight. You know what I mean? Like that mindset, we tell African women to be learned helplessness. That's what me and my best friend call it. We learn how to be helpless because we don't want to be too powerful or too strong or too vocal because that's not what our society wants. Whereas when you come here, you have to be vocal.
You have to. And if you were not, you would have to find it somewhere. You would have to take it out of... for me, seriously, I was always vocal. I was a vocal kid. So I think naturally I just like talking. but like that self-confidence, that self-esteem. I had to really work on that. Because when I was back home, I never thought I was smart. I was told I wasn't smart. I was told that I would make a good wife, a good mother. I was never told that I was smart. And it was actually, I think at some point you believe it.
Yeah.
And you start believing what other people say about you. And then when you come here, you feel like, oh, I'm just an average kid, you know, I'm just, but it took me, I think my first year was, I want to say, what defined me. That's how I started defining, I'm not going to be listening to naysayers, I'm not going to be listening even to my own family, you know, because sometimes they want to protect you so much that they actually
they put you in a box.
They put you in a box. For me, I knew I had so much that I could do. I had so much strength. I had so much grit. But from my family standpoint, they didn't really look at it that way. So unlike you, who went through all the hurdles and then you let your family know this is what I went through, I went through my first year where, first of all, my first year I came here, I was 20. By age 21, that's when I had my first boy. But anyway, yeah, it was crazy because I'm still thinking about it. Nobody teaches you how to fall in love, how to fall out of love. And that alone, that headache, and I mean, for me it was crazy because it was back to back, one thing after the next. It was feeling like the people that I thought were going to be there for me, people that were not my family, friends, they did not show up for me. It was me going to a family house for the summer, because guys, it's a long story, but maybe I'm going to sit down one day and give you more details. But going to that family, being the best person, I mean, I really thought I was a good girl because I was taught to care of people, to take care of people, to cook, to clean, all of these things. And I was doing all these things and I got kicked out of the house. So, and I got kicked out, I didn't have anywhere else to go because I was staying on campus. And then
school was out.
School was out during the summer. So I didn't know, coming from Cameroon, I didn't know that during the summer you're supposed to go back, I mean,
to your family
or somewhere. So
basically,
I thought I was supposed to stay on campus until school started again next fall, and that wasn't the case. So I went to live with that family, and it was a nice family. The girl that had picked me up at the airport, that at the time she picked me up, she was a stranger. I didn't know her. She picked me up because, you know, nobody showed up. And she's the one that opened her parents' house for me. And unfortunately, things happened. And up to today, we've never really talked per se. Yeah, because I didn't do anything. I just got kicked out, and I had to beg my landlord because I was supposed to be moving to my place in August, and I got kicked out in July. And I was staying 1 hour away from her house. So it was all of this, you know,
the logistics. Oh gosh.
Yeah, and you don't drive. You barely even speak the language. So it's not like I was 6 at that time. I was 6 months into the U.S. when all of these things were happening, and you can't tell your parents, right?
Because they'll be like,
I couldn't tell my parents because I knew that my dad would have freaked out, my mom would have gone
worried.
Yeah, so I had to keep it in, and I think my parents found out 4 years in of everything. And when I say everything, we always talk about our different journeys and how we're going to write books.
We have to.
Yeah. But guys, it's just to tell you, just to summarize the beginning of our journey coming to the US. It wasn't easy. A lot of adjusting, a lot of crying at night.
And you know the other thing, you know how like in Africa, your family, your friends, there's an unspoken rule of hospitality.
Yeah.
Over here, it's gone. Because you are billed for everything here. Light, water, electricity, gas, everything. If they could charge you to breathe, America will bill you for it. So like that expectation we have, like, oh, I'm just going to my uncle's house to stay. your uncle's looking at it like
You
extra
have to-
water,
yeah.
extra gas, extra electricity, you know, like that's one thing that I think it makes it a little bit harder for
Yeah.
people here to even open up their doors and
Mhm.
help. You want to be and become as independent as quickly as possible,
Yeah.
because these are the things that could happen. The
Mhm.
person that told you, "Oh, I have your back," you get here and they're like, "Ah, my dear, you can only stay for 3 weeks," and you're like, "I thought you."
Or sometimes they even tell you can stay, and then they expect you
To
from
pay.
week 2 to start paying bills.
or something.
Yeah.
And it's
And then your paper situation too is
Right.
something that's another story, because when
another
you
conversation.
come here as an international student, you don't even have the right to work outside of campus.
Yep.
Even on campus, for me, because I was studying English,
Mhm.
so technically I wasn't enrolled in university right away. I took 2 semesters of English. So basically, the whole 2017, I was just studying English because I didn't, summer was summer. So it was spring and then fall.
Mhm.
So in that time, you cannot work.
Yeah, you can.
So,
And even if you get a job on campus, they're paying you minimum wage.
yeah.
My first job
Peanuts.
was at a daycare, and I think they were paying me. Oh no, that was even a good job. They were paying me $8.25. So I was like, "Oh, this is good." But you can't work more than 20 hours.
Yes,
You
they
can't work
have
more than
that
20
rule.
hours.
You cannot work
As
more
an
than 20
international,
hours.
you can't.
A week.
A week. So just
Yeah.
to highlight what that means, full-time work hours is 40 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
As an international, because you're going to school, they expect that this is a part-time job, so you should be working half the time. So if the job you're working is paying you peanuts, and you can only work half the time legally, you don't have any money.
And that's when the hustle starts.
Yep.
Because for me, I was doing that part-time job 20 hours a week.
Mm-hmm.
And thank God I acquired the skills of doing hair.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to do hair at my apartment. I used to have classmates, friends that would come and then I
And
would do
hair
their hair.
is a good way
Yeah.
to make money as a
Like
woman.
braiding,
Braiding hair,
cornrows, weaves.
all of those
I used to
things.
do that, and that was what gave me more, I want to say, confidence in myself, because I felt like I could take care of myself. And I had many people sometimes that ask the question, but your parents could have taken care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, by the time you convert
I was just about to say that.
the dollar into our currency, like for Cameroon is franc CFA, and for Nigeria is naira. It's ridiculously
When you just start thinking,
high.
there are so many nights I would just take out the calculator.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is $50. 50 times.
It's crazy.
And you're just like,
It's crazy.
it's bad enough. School books are extremely expensive.
Expensive.
One book could be $120.
I had books that were 200
200 and something.
Yeah.
So I remember my cheapest book, my first year was $48, and I was thanking God. Because I had another textbook that was like 200 and something, and you need to get these books for every class.
Yeah.
So getting books alone could run you anywhere from $600 to $1,000. Aside from the books, you now have to get school supplies.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you're not paying. You're not making enough money. You have to convert from your local currency to your to dollars.
Yeah.
And your parents have
Crazy.
paid school fees, and maybe they give you a little bit of pocket money. How do you want to ask?
No, they pay school fees and they pay insurance, because as an international student, you're supposed to have insurance, health insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think mine was 900 and something, almost 1,000. So I think it was a year. I think it was a year, 1,000 a year.
Was it a year per
Was
semester?
it a year or semester? I don't know.
It's
I
been
have
so
to
long,
check.
but I think
Yeah.
it was per semester, because
semester.
you get your itemized bill every semester, and you have to pay. And as an international, you can't really your payment plan. You have 3 months to pay thousands of
Everything.
dollars, because you have to pay the money before the end of the semester, and the semester is about 3 months. So back then, this was 05 till I graduated. My first semester bill was like $11,000 back then. Now my brother graduated how many years ago? 3 years ago. Without his scholarships, by the time you pay accommodation, school fees, everything, he had a scholarship. But even with that scholarship, we were paying $15,000 a semester.
Wow.
Everything. So when people look say, oh, you know, your parents have money or whatever, these are the things you have to think about. Like,
life is not cheap in the US.
It's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
You have to really, if you're thinking of coming here, you have to do your due diligence and your research. How much is accommodation if you're going to stay on campus? Or if you're staying with a family member, you have to have some money to at least, auntie, I don't have much. It is $100 towards groceries. Something. You have to calculate that. You have to calculate mode of transportation. In Texas, we don't have like trains, buses, all of that stuff.
I was in St. Cloud. We had buses, so I was good.
We had buses here, but the buses they run really slow.
Yeah.
So I remember I had like an internship in the Galleria. From school to the Galleria, if you're driving, is about 10-15 minutes. With the bus, it's 2 hours.
Yeah.
Because it's so slow. We don't have that many. So you have to calculate transportation. You have to calculate like miscellaneous, because your tuition might say $9,000. But what they don't tell you online, accommodation, food, health insurance, what else do you have to pay? International student services fees, all of this, and like they would charge you for every little thing. So whatever you go online and you say like my tuition is, let's say, let me stick to $9,000. Multiply that by 3, because that's probably what you would need per semester when you add everything else. So,
and then another thing is, don't come with a mindset. I mean, we're sharing our own personal experiences, but don't come with the mindset of, I'm just going to go to school. Life is going to be, I mean, unless you're a millionaire already, we don't know, but we were not. So, but if you're somebody that's like, I don't know, middle class or low class, and then you are like, okay, I want to come to the US, and your parents and family members already put money together so that you can at least, as soon as you get here, you have to have a plan. How are you going to be financially independent?
Yeah, get as independent as possible, like as quickly as possible.
And you have, another thing, oh my God, you have to pray that you don't get sick. Because that is the worst thing that could have happened to you and your family and everybody in your life. Because once you get sick, we don't have, health insurance. For me, I compare it to maybe a country like France, like European countries where they have a more,
more universal healthcare.
Yeah, healthcare. And then it's kind of like, it's good.
Even in Africa, at least you know the costs. If you get sick in Africa, to see the doctor, at least I can pay, for us Nigerians, I can pay maybe 15,000 naira. Let me just have that on me to see the doctor, because I don't know how much it will cost. The price of medicine back home is cheaper.
It's cheaper. Yeah, definitely.
So after my ordeal, just the ambulance alone was $430. Just ambulance. And
the ambulance.
How far did the ambulance drive me? 2 streets away. 2 streets, like
400.
They didn't even use up to 1 jerrycan of fuel to transport me. But 400 plus. Let's not even talk about the medical bill. The thing is, because of how it happened, I was able, it's a lot. Again, you have to advocate for yourself. I had to like write letters, petitions that this is what happened to me. I had to apply like to the charity wing of the hospital to write off that bill. And if you're sick, those are not the things you're thinking about.
I got sick, right? And I went to the hospital. I think they put me on IV. And
money. You just said IV.
That alone was already up to 1,000 and something. And they told me that they were going to keep me at the hospital. And I was like, how much is it going to be? They said, no, don't worry, we're going to keep you here. So I slept there for one night.
You're very comfortable.
I slept there for one night because I wasn't feeling well. I was really sick. I don't even know, fever, whatever. I was super sick. And by the time they actually billed me, it was $3,000 for one night and so many exams that they did. Then they tell me my health insurance
Doesn't
that I
cover.
had only covers $1,000. So I still have $2,000 to pay. And keep in mind, I've been in the US for 1 year. I don't even work. I mean, at the time I didn't have the job on campus, so I was just working just at home, you know, braiding people's hair, and then they were giving me money. There was no way I was going to call my parents and be like, on top of you paying for school fees, paying for health insurance, accommodation, now you have to pay for these things. So I had to find ways, and just like you, I had to, you know, file a petition. I have to go from one charity organization to the next. If you are, and you have, I mean, it depends where you are. First of all, it depends which, you know, state, city you are. If the hospital or where you are actually they provide those type of services.
Because another thing is like for
me they waived it, and they waived it on the premises. I mean, the reason was I did not earn any income, so my income was zero. I was an international student, and then I think the last one, I was a minority. I was black. So that was the reason.
But again, guys, you see what we're saying? You have to advocate for yourself. All of these things, they don't advertise.
No.
Nobody's coming to tell
you
that, oh, by the way, this, if you do this. They're not telling you because they want their money.
Yeah.
So you have to, like, it was when I was in group and someone was like, oh, you can do this, because I was overwhelmed. I'm dealing with what I'm dealing with, and I see a bill. My village people are trying to pursue me. What is this? Like, you're worried, you're confused, you're like, okay. And all of that is not easy, because you will make a call that will tell you wrong number. You call somebody else, you write letters.
And then you stay on the phone for hours and hours.
It took a very long time.
Guys, we're not trying to discourage you. For some of you who are planning, you are not in the US yet, but you are planning to maybe relocate here, go to school, have a life here. We're just trying to tell you it's not easy. Don't think it's going to be, unless you have a really good support system.
And even if you do have a really good support system, again, plan to be as independent as possible, as quick as possible. Because these are the things that the movies don't tell us about America.
I still remember when I started working, and I used to work overnight, and it was cold. I mean, St. Cloud was cold. That's in Minnesota. I mean, I was taking the bus because I didn't have the car. I didn't even have a driver license then. So the bus had hours that they would show up. So if I would work from midnight to 7 a.m. and at 7:15 the bus was supposed to come right there to pick me up. And sometimes the bus wouldn't show up. And keep in mind, I'm supposed to leave at 7:15. Get home maybe, because it wasn't that far, get home by 7:45, sleep 2 hours because I have class at 9:30 or 10 a.m. depending on the day. So just imagine how life was. And at the time we didn't have Instagram, but from people that were posting on Facebook, like, you would think that we are living the best life, but no,
nobody's going to post their struggle.
It was a lot of work. But I remember I used to go 1 week, I would not even get 4 hours a night of sleep. By the time you're done with all your courses, you know, all the classes, you get home by maybe 5 p.m. You don't study, right? Because you're tired. So now you have to sleep from maybe 5 or 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. because you have to prep to go back to work, because I was working overnight. And it's only when you're working overnight that you're actually studying, because you cannot sleep. It's quiet. So I used to study overnight. And on top of that job, on the weekends, because I was doing that job during the week, on the weekends, I would do hair. and from so many people who knew the lifestyle that I used to live back home, you know, because you're sheltered. You have your parents there, they take care of you.
You have your support system, you have your social bubble.
over Christmas, during Christmas, I didn't have family here.
Oh,
So
Christmas is the worst.
over Christmas, I used to work because they would pay you 1.5. They would pay you
Overtime.
more. Yeah. So I was actually working. People are spending time with their families. I was working, and I remember when I would call my parents, there was no way I was going to sound depressed on the phone because I didn't want them to worry.
Yeah,
So I
don't be
used,
sad,
so I used to be like, no, everything is fine. Don't worry. I'm spending time with my girlfriend, my roommates. No, I was working, and I was either working or sleeping because I didn't have anybody to spend the holidays with. And the friends that I had met when I came,
They will go home for
they would go to the extended family, like, you know, some relatives, cousins,
Yeah.
boyfriends, and me, I was just like, okay, let's
I'm
work.
here by myself.
Yeah.
But I know we've talked a lot about what's bad about America, but now let's talk about the good parts.
Yeah.
The good part is
The good
the good part is